Hey guys, how you doing? This phone right here is the HMD Fusion. Now you got a 108 megapixel main camera, you got a 50 megapixel selfie cam, a 5000 mAh battery, and you should be able to easily repair this phone by yourself, like if you have a broken screen. We will also take a look at what features this phone has to offer, but first up, the unboxing. Alright, if you open up the box of the HMD Fusion, you will instantly see your smartphone, which already comes in a silicone case, which is definitely a nice thing to see. Underneath you will find the quick starting guide, a charging cable and a SIM pin, but nothing else. No charging brick like we get with some other smartphones. Now for around 230 euros, you will get a smartphone with a 6.56 inch display. Finally a smartphone which isn't that big, correct? No, this phone is even bigger than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You have a case size of 16.4 centimeters, whereas we got 16.3 centimeters on the Apple phone with a bigger 6.9 inch display. So this phone is massive in your hands and you will definitely feel this phone in your pockets. At least it is a bit lighter with around 202 grams, but again only IP54 dust and splash resistant. The reason herefore is easy. Since you can repair most parts on this phone yourself by just unscrewing some screws, you will get a much lower rating right here. You can change a broken display or install a new flashy back cover that could even come with a backlight, which will be charged by your phone since you got some pins down here. Overall, we get a lot of plastic. So we got a plastic frame and a plastic backside. And talking about the backside, this one kind of reminds me about the Nothing phone. I mean, this not that much, but if we get this silicone case, you definitely see where I'm coming from. They say that you can even build your own parts for this phone if you have some know-how in 3D printing, and of course you will need the extra equipment to remove the parts from this phone, since there are no extra screwdrivers that come with the HMD Fusion. So like I said, we get a 6.56 inch LCD display with a 90Hz refresh rate. Now by default it is set to 60Hz, but you can switch that up anytime you want to in the settings. The most interesting parts are the black bezels all around your smartphone. These are the reasons why you get a smaller display than on the iPhone, but we got a bigger smartphone. On top and on the sides, these black bezels are big, but even bigger on the bottom side of the phone. This phone is just huge. Now, viewing angles stay pretty much the same if you tilt the phone to the sides, and watching videos on this phone is a decent experience. Since you only have an LCD display and not an OLED panel, you don't get these inky blacks and the contrast isn't that great as well. You also only have HD plus resolution with 720 by 1612 pixel, which is another reason why videos don't look as good as on the iPhone. The HMD lights up with a peak of 600 nits, which is again not that great, and when it comes to the audio, I guess it's okay. The sound isn't overwhelmingly loud and the quality is okay. When it comes to the battery life, the HMD Fusion is good. We get a 5000 mAh battery, which is supposed to last about 65 hours. I tested how long this phone lasts on continuous video streaming and it got up to 15 hours. Certainly better than most other smartphones, and you can easily get through the whole weekend without having to charge this phone. And if you do run out of battery life, you got 33 watts wired charging and it takes about half an hour to charge from 0 to 60% and then another 60 minutes to top it off. Just keep in mind that you have no wireless and no reverse wireless charging on this phone. By the way, if you like my content, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and you will also find the link to the phone down below in the description. Next up, the features, and this phone runs on Android 14 and will get another 2 years of OS updates and 3 years of security updates. We only get 128 gigs of internal storage on this phone and about 12 gigs are already used up by the system. Gladly we can expand that storage to a terabyte with an extra micro SD card. The HMD Fusion, this one has of course a fingerprint sensor on the side, and this one works pretty good, and you got a face detection, and this one works just as good. Now, what I also really like is that you don't get any funky apps on this phone pre-installed. I mean, you do get Booking.com and Kindred, but no games or anything like that. As for the rest of the features, you cannot expect too much. In the wallpaper and icon settings, you can change the design of the icons. There is the original settings, but they can also match your background color, or you get the HMD style. You have a few wallpapers and you can add some shortcuts to your locked display or change the ones that you already got. You can also change the font and display size and add a high contrast to your text, but it actually just adds a white background to your text and your text is getting a little bit darker too. In your safety and emergency settings, you will get an emergency SOS. There are crisis, earthquake and unknown alerts. There are some parental controls and the usual gesture controls like a one-handed mode. you can quickly open up the camera by double pressing your power button, or you can also double tap your screen to activate it, but you can't turn it off like that. And basically those are all the features this phone has. Alright, now over to the performance and the gaming. HMD went with a pretty old chipset. You get the Snapdragon 4 Gen 2, and if you don't know, some phones already have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and Gen 4 is right around the corner. The HMD Fusion comes with 6 gigs of RAM, which is good enough for your everyday usage. It does take a second to open up the camera or any other app, and you do get some stuttering when you scroll through your news tab, but it's not super bad. Now, playing games on this phone is possible, but I would rather stick to some simple games, or you can maybe play Genshin Impact on the lowest graphics settings. Now, if you try playing it on the high settings, you will not have a good gaming experience. You get a lot of lags, and even more if you're in a big battle with some monsters. By the way, there's also no game booster. Lastly, we have the camera, and once again, I'm not a big fan of it. So we got a 108 megapixel main camera and a 2 megapixel depth camera, but no optical image stabilization, which makes it super hard to take good quality photos or videos. Now the front camera can take photos with 50 megapixel, and both cameras can take videos with 1080p and 60 fps. You just need to know that if you switch from 30 to 60 fps on a selfie camera, it will automatically zoom in by a lot. This phone also has some photo modes like a portrait mode, night mode. There's even a pro mode, slow motion, or dual side. So actually not that bad, but the pictures that you get with these cameras are not the best. The detail level on your normal pictures isn't that good, just like the contrast. I mean, you do get some nice colors on these pictures, and on your portrait shots you get a good depth of field, which you can also adjust if you want to. Portrait shots actually look with your selfie camera a little bit better than your normal photos with your main camera. There is no ultra wide angle camera on this phone, and the zoom options on this phone are mediocre. There is the 3x zoom by default, but you will lose a lot of sharpness. So better only take pictures with your normal 1x zoom. And guys, there we have it. Now, if you liked that video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more tech reviews. And I guess with that one being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.